Asset-based lending. Asset-based lending, ABL, originated in the U.S. It is a system of financing that uses assets such as equipment or company inventory, also known as stock, as security against the loan, whereas factoring uses unpaid invoices as collateral against prepayments on money due from invoices. Asset-based lending spreads its net wider to secure collateral. Often, big operations will use a factoring facility in conjunction with asset-based lending. Difference between invoice factoring and asset-based lending. The key difference between these two forms of financing arrangements is that an invoice financier involved in factoring will buy unpaid invoices. In the case of ABL, the assets are not bought. Instead, security is taken against the assets. In the event of bad debt, a company will be obliged to sell the asset to cover the debt. The asset will be insured and the benefits of the insurance policy assigned to the lender. Inventory or stock. A company's inventory consists of items that are ready for sale. It also covers materials that can be turned into inventory. Stock financing. When stock is used as surety against a loan, it is called stock financing. In order to qualify for this type of financing, a company will have to produce detailed and up-to-date stock reports. It is not just the amount of stock that needs to be considered, but also the quality of the stock. The financier will assess how easy it is to sell stock. High-tech, seasonal, and bespoke products might not be easy to sell. To protect the assets used in asset-based lending, a financier can either take legal charge of the asset or just floating charge of the asset. The first means the financier has control of the asset. The second means a company can still use and sell the asset as in normal trading conditions. If the company stops trading, a financier will move from floating charge of an asset to legal charge of an asset. How much can be raised against stock? This is the key question for the company offering asset-based lending. An expert will assess how easy it would be to sell the stock if the borrower defaults. Included in these calculations are storage and transport costs. These types of stock evaluations are made annually. To dig deeper, the financier will place retentions against stock based on a number of criteria. Retentions refers to money withheld and not available for financing purposes. Here is a list detailing these retentions. 1. Damaged stock. No funding will be available against damaged stock. In the event that the stock is badly damaged, an insurance claim will be made with the funds going to the lender. 2. Work in progress. Unfinished inventory still counts as stock, but a financier will place a retention on these items. 3. Slow-moving stock. A financier will usually place retentions against slow-moving stock. 4. Short shelf life. Items with a short shelf life are not suitable for asset-based lending. 5. Obsolete, aged, and out-of-date stock. Obsolete could refer to stock that is no longer relevant. Age refers to items that have been in the warehouse for a long time that are not looking likely to be sold. Any item that is labeled out of date is also subject to retentions. 6. Selling costs. The annual evaluations of stock will assess the overheads involved in selling stock, such as bills for warehousing, transporting, and electricity. These costs will be accounted for in retentions. 7. Retention of title. This refers to a situation where the supplier maintains legal ownership of the parts or materials it has supplied until its client has made a sale and paid off its supplier. This type of stock is subject to retention. 8. Unsecured creditors. In the UK, if a company goes into liquidation, then the administrators will have to set aside stock that can be used to pay off unsecured creditors. This can be up to £600,000. Retention will be made to cover this possibility. Costs of stock finance. When a financier sets up a stock facility, he or she will set out a number of fees. Administration fee. This will be the cost for administering the finance facility and may include the costs of the stock audits. Interest on the amount borrowed. The interest rate will be higher than the central bank's interest rates. It will also be higher than the discount charge that features in factoring costs. Valuation fees. This is the cost of assessing the value of the stock and assessments over things, such as how easy it would be to sell stock in the event there was a default in loan repayments. Availability. As with invoice finance, a calculation is made to show the amount of money that is available to be borrowed. Firstly, the total stock value is assessed and then deductions are made for out-of-date, damaged, and obsolete stock. Deductions are made for the costs of selling stock and deductions are made for unsecured creditors. After deductions, a stock financier will set a percentage for how much he or she will lend against the remaining stock value. It is typically between 50% and 80%. This final figure is the availability. Stock finance vs. invoice finance. The availability percentage is normally higher for invoice finance than for stock finance. Collecting debt from unpaid invoices is considered less expensive and less risky than selling stock. Moreover, evaluations are more accurate with invoice finance. A stock financier will be basing their decisions on monthly stock reports that can be up to 4 weeks out of date. Another worry for a stock financier will be the quality of the remaining stock for sale. A failing company will quite often sell their best stock first to deal with shortfalls in cash flow. Borrowing against machinery and property. Asset-based lending is also possible using plant machinery and commercial property. Normally, loans against machinery are repaid over 3 years. Loans against property are repaid over 7 to 15 years.